Okay, let's take a look at 4. Now 4 is y equals e to the x. Now e is about 2.7. So when we're doing these points, we're finding points, we'll use these approximation for e is about 2.7. And 1 over e, 1 over, so let's take a look at this. So e to the 0 is 1, of course, that's no problem. E to the 1 is about 2.7. And e to the negative 1 is 1 over 2.7. Well, that's about 1/3, so I just use 1/3 as an approximation of that. So this will give me the points that I'm going to put down. So again, when I plot this, y equals e to the x. When x is negative 1, it's about 1/3. When x is 0, e to the 0 is 1. And when x is 1, e to the 1 is e, and e is about 2.7. See, so sometimes if you mix these up, if you just get these 3 points, that gives you a good idea. Now you can see that this never is 0. You can never get that to be 0 because it's an exponent. I'm always going to have a fraction, and it'll get closer and closer, so it's asymptotic to 0, but it's not going to be equal to 0. Now the domain are all real numbers, but the range are y is greater than 0. Not equal to 0, but greater than 0. You can see that. Okay, and then y equals negative e to the x. Okay, negative e to the x. Okay, so when x is 0, e to the 0 is just 1, so that's going to be negative 1. And when x is negative 1, that's going to be 1 over e, which is 1/3, that's going to be negative 1/3. And when x is 1, I'm sorry, when x is 1, that's going to be e, so that's going to be negative e, or negative 2.7. So something like that. So again, this is asymptotic to the x-axis. It gets closer and closer, never touches it. It goes down like this. And then you can see your domain are all real numbers, but your range is y is less than 0. Not equal, but less than 0. Okay? And then now e to the minus x, now we can just kind of flip this around. We can put values in. When x is 0, well, that's going to be 1, that's no problem. When x is 1, that's going to be negative 1, so that's going to be 1 over e, which is 1/3. And when x is negative 1, that's going to be negative, so that's going to be positive 1, so that's going to be e to the 1, which is e, which is 2.7. And you can see it's going to look like this. And just those 3 points, once you have some experience with these, those 3 points will give it to you, so you could check those out, and you'll be able to do those in your head eventually, so you can just get an idea to get a quick sketch. And you can see the domain, all real numbers, and the range y is greater than 0. Okay, and the last one here, 4D. Now we have this was y equals 2 minus e to the negative x, so this is actually, I just wrote it like this, so we can see that this is actually a vertical shift of +2. So first of all, I'm going to sketch negative e to the negative x. And negative e to the negative x, when x is 0, that's just going to be 0. E to the 0, which is 1, so that's going to be negative 1. And when x is negative 1, that's just going to be negative 1 is 1, so that's just going to be e, so that's going to be negative e. So when x is negative 1, that's negative 2.7. Okay? And when x is 1, that's going to be e to the negative 1, which is 1 over e, which is 1/3. That's going to be negative 1/3. So it's going to look like this. So that's just this part. Okay? That's just negative e to the negative x. But I'm shifting it up 2, so I moved each of these points up 2. And this is what I have. So you see how we go like this. It goes up here. Okay. And it's going to curve around like this. I got to watch my curve here. This should have been 1/3. I got a little bit closer over here. So it goes like this. Yeah, I made that third a little bit. Should have been 1/3. I got it too close there. There we go. And you can see that it's going to curve down like this. So again, the domain will be all real numbers. The domain will be all real numbers, but the range will be all y, but y is going to be less than 2 because I've got that shifted 2. Okay? So that'll give you those.